Lucky. Anyway, you've been very busy as far as our latest batch of Eyecatchers go. We've got two parts actually to the Eyecatchers this week.
Yeah.
We can just have a look at the ones we've got. One or two of them have appeared. I don't know if he's ever appeared before as an Eyecatcher, but he certainly caught my eye more than once, and he just doesn't seem to win that often. Dungannon, there's Toughness Dungannon, Strawberry Flavour, Thane of Corder, Above Standard, and Romanoff. Horses you might not have hit your radar up until today, but we can start on those, and let's start with the Andrew Balding trained Dungannon. A big run was expected last time at Doncaster, and you can see he's on the small group over on the far side. He was well backed. He went 7-1 in the end. Jack Dexter, the informed Jack Dexter, won the race, but it looks like you give Dungannon another chance.
Well, I think he's worth bearing in mind under certain circumstances. He seems to go well at these the kind of recently laid tracks like Ascot and Doncaster, and obviously this day is very difficult to know how disadvantaged he was by racing on the far side, and I don't think the other ones on the far side were all in much form, but he's beaten them pointless, and he's just presumably on the wrong part of the track. But he's one to just put in the back of your mind for next year, because he's just about got down to a reasonable handicap mark, and he does go very well at Ascot in particular, and he's also run well here before as well. So if he turns up at one of those two tracks early next season, he might be one to be interested in.
It's strange, the method of trainers, because the last time he won was over 5 furlongs at Ascot in August last year at the Shogar Cup meeting, when he beat Medician Man. All these runs until that run we've just seen at Donny were over 6 furlongs. You'd have thought it would have been worth somewhere along the line giving him another go over 5.
Possibly. He seems to be a horse who, I think he's probably effective enough at both. He might be one of those horses where it's quite hard to work out exactly what his best distance is. But I think the key for him, certainly Ascot in particular, he does seem to go very well there when he's on his game. And
as far as the handicap market, makes no difference at all. Although he hasn't won for well over a year, he's still rated 95, bang on the same.
Is that right? Has he not been higher during that time?
He went to 90. He went to 99.
99, yeah. I think 99 probably is too high. 95, I think there's enough to suggest that he can go close in a reasonable handicap.
But you give him another chance anyway. Right, our next one is Toughness Dungannon of Brendan Powell's. We can have a look at now. This horse has been around quite a long time. He's won one of his 31 starts so far, but he caught your eye at Wolverhampton last time, finishing 4th here in a 1 and 6 handicap.
Yeah, probably out of all the ones I've put up this year, this week, sorry, this is the one I'm least sure about, just because I think there's a lot of ability, but possibly a bit of temperament as well, which he might maybe temperament's not the right word.
But he just won once, but he'd been placed 9 times in those 31 runs.
Yeah, I still think he might have won this race if he'd got a clear run and come through on the outside, because you see him cruising through here. He's travelling really well. He's
I bet he was short in running there, wasn't he?
I really don't. I can't remember what he was.
I bet he was. Yeah.
He ends up. I felt if he'd come to the outside, he might well have come through with a winning run. But he hangs left when he's put under severe pressure.
Still think he might win there.
That's the thing I didn't like about the performance. And he's declared tomorrow. I haven't had a look at the race. If he's short, I won't be remotely interested in him, because he's not a horse I'd be looking to back when he's short. I do think there's the ability to win a race, but he probably might need a really strongly run affair where he can just come through on the bridle without having to do much off the bridle. I think he's well handicapped, but
slight reservations.
Slight reservations, yeah.
Okay, a much more lightly raced horse comes up next, called Strawberry Flavour. Again, a bit of Wolverhampton form. This filly, who's trained by James Tate, has run 4 times, as I said, and ran last time at Wolverhampton over 9 furlongs, a 1 and 1 furlong, a handicap, beaten 3.5 lengths at a big price. It was 40-1.
Yeah, this was a race where you'll see the horses who are prominent dominate the finish, and there's a couple of horses come through with strong late runs, and I think they're the two that perhaps were most interesting after the race, and that's been proved to be the case with one of them, the horse in the white colours on the outside, Monthly Medal, who came and won next time. And you'll see that Strawberry Flavour gets switched to the inside, has to be switched again, but finishes as well as anything. And I think in a more strongly run race, or possibly over a bit further, she is by Motivator, I think she can be winning. She's still very lightly raced, and I think there's better to come from her.
And he's a trainer I like as well, James Tate. He's done well this year.
Yeah, he's had quite a few winners. He gets, I think Bowrug's one of his, isn't he? He's relatively new trainer. He's got some good, strong patronage, so he should continue to do well.
Another up-and-coming trainer, Joe Tuitt, who's used to be with Mick Shannon, he's also doing pretty well on his own. And the next one is an Eyecatcher called Thane of Corder. We can have a look at here. 3-year-old who's run so far 9 times, yet to get off the mark. He's only had one placing so far. He ran at the end of last month at Wolverhampton in a 9-furlong handicap behind Sashin.
Yeah, and you can see he just gets held up at a crucial point in the race. They're kicking from the front here, and he's just left with too much to do, having been hampered. He has a tendency to start slowly, which is the downside with him, but he's got no chance of winning from where he is. And I like the way that he stayed on steadily, just under a hands and heels ride. I think there's more to come from him again. He's shaped quite well there, and I think he's one who can go one better in the near future.
I mean, he could have easily been an Eyecatcher on his previous run, because he also ran over that same trip. He was second on that occasion, I think.
Yeah, he was second, staying on again, I think.
Behind Hard Road, yeah.
Yeah. I have a feeling that might have been the extra, the 1 mile, 1 furlong extended, as opposed to the mile extended. I might be wrong
No,
there.
I think it was the same.
Right, okay.
Well, unless
if it says 9F in the Racing Post, that doesn't necessarily distinguish between them. But anyway, whether it's the same or not, I think he's one who, if he gets a decent gallop, he might well be able to win a race.
I bet you're right, actually.
If it says 9 furlong
when you
in the
when you say
guide,
I have a feeling about something, it means that you're right. I wouldn't want to have a bet with you.
I'm not completely sure, but if
I could have almost brought out my moth-eaten wallet and said, OK, but nonsense. The next one we can have a look at is a horse called Above Standard. And this one ran the other day at, this is a Mick Easterby trained horse, again at Wolverhampton. This is over 6 furlongs, I'm sure it was 6 furlongs.
Yep. Beaten
a length by Ginger Ted. Was made favourite on this occasion. In fact, Ginger Ted's beaten him last 2 runs.
Yeah, he's a horse who's been transformed since he went sprinting, and he was a very well-backed winner the previous start, and his first start at 6 furlongs. And he's just tanked along on the outside throughout, and he's gone through the race like the best horse, but he's been 3 wide with the choke out all the way, and I think he just pays for it in the final furlong. Everything else is well off the bridle, a long way out, but he's just gonna tire in the final 150 yards and finish 3rd. And the handicap has hit him quite hard, because he went up, I think it was £11, and then he's gone up another 4 for this. But I still wouldn't want to be too much against him over 6 furlongs on Polytrack, because he just looks like a horse who's really found his role. And providing he can either get a bit more cover or just get an easy lead and not be taken on too early, I think he can win again off his current mark.
Yeah, I mean, his last 2 runs he's had a tongue tie, and that seems to have helped him a little bit.
Yeah, that might be it as well. But I think sprinting is his game.
But a 6 furlong handicap on the sand. Yeah, look out for him.
Yeah, there'll be plenty more opportunities for him this winter.
Okay, so that's an interesting one of Mick Easterby's Above Standard. Next on the agenda is Romanoff. We can have a look at now. Romanoff is trained by Luca Cumani, no less. He's run 7 times so far. This is a 2-year-old. This is a bit of Wolverhampton form again, over 6 furlongs, finishing 3rd, a very close 3rd, behind Dream Alley. Yeah,
and this is another example where if you get just held up on the home turn as the leaders are kicking, particularly if they haven't got a mad pace, it can really damage your chances, and he just doesn't get the clearest of runs on the turn. Then he has to be switched as well. You see, he just has to pause there, loses momentum, he's switched over to the far rail, and he does get momentum up again late, and he actually goes very close, but he just can't quite reel them back. And he's got form over further.
I was going to say he was coming back in trip there,
yeah, he was coming back, and watching the race you'd say he might be worth another try at 7, but equally he was probably a little bit unlucky not to win that race over 6. If he'd got a clear run on the outer, he might well have won that race. So I think he's one who again, he's capable of winning soon.
He'd come up against some pretty talented horses, hasn't he, during the summer? I mean, he's beaten quite a long way by the Gold Chong Sam, who obviously
he's a decent horse. Yeah.
Blaine, who won a group race at York, so obviously quite well thought of, and one worth looking out for in the future. Yeah,
you don't really associate Luca Cumani with 2-year-olds that much. You tend to associate more with horses that progress as they get older, but he's one who looks fairly weighted, and if they persist with him, he'd be one of the lesser animals in the yard, I would say, but if they persist with him, he looks like he can win races.
OK, thanks Hugh for the time being, and there'll be some more Hugh Taylor Eyecatchers coming up after the break.